The report I have is, I believe there were drugs in the car. You recall that?
Yeah.
Okay. But and that's based on him walking back and forth from the gambling establishment to the car?
Just the behavior. It's all.
You could just tell, right?
Well, with criminal behavior, with it, seat being leaned back, heavy tinted windows.
Yeah, but you could just tell, right?
Yeah, with my experience, with all those indicators.
Okay. And the indicators are the tinted windows?
Tinted windows, vehicle being registered to a business, seat being tilted.
On March 26, 2025, in Timberlake, Ohio, Jonathan William Ward did the one responsible thing a person with a suspended license can do. He didn't drive. His car was parked at a plaza, so he called a flatbed tow truck to move it and got into the passenger seat. He broke no law. He gave the police no reason to touch him, but two officers across the street had already decided, with no warrant, no evidence, nothing but a hunch, that there were drugs in his car. And they were going to get into that car no matter what it took. So they stopped the tow truck for a loose strap and an expired plate that had nothing to do with Ward. They ran a fake sobriety test on the tow truck driver, a completely innocent man, just a stall for a drug dog from another town. Ward was charged in the Lake County Court of Common Pleas with having weapons while under disability and drug possession. His attorney, Assistant Public Defender John Fatica, filed the motion to suppress, asking the court to throw out everything that illegal search produced. Assistant Prosecutor Haley Gold appeared for the state. What you are about to watch is the hearing where the officer's own body camera and their own answers on the stand exposed exactly what they did.
Sergeant Lords, you indicated on direct that you weren't on duty initially on March 26, 2025.
Correct.
Okay. And you got a phone call from Dalton Webb?
Correct.
Okay. Is that usual for a traffic stop?
I wouldn't say it's uncommon. It depends on the agency. It depends on the partners that you work with.
Okay. Was it your perception that Officer Webb couldn't handle a traffic stop on his own?
No, that wasn't my impression, no.
Okay. And would you agree with me that traffic, for most patrol officers, traffic stop is fairly routine?
I wouldn't say that, no.
They're not routine?
No, no traffic is routine.
He doesn't do traffic stops all the time?
I can't speak for him.
Okay. In your experience, when you were a patrolman, did you often have traffic stops?
Correct.
How often did you need backup when you were conducting a traffic stop?
Fairly regularly.
Okay. So you never, I shouldn't say never. You're saying it was your experience on a traffic stop, you don't just issue a citation, you call for backup?
It varies stop to stop.
Okay. How often is backup needed, would you approximate?
I wouldn't approximate.
How often does Dalton Webb request extra eyes?
I can't speak for Dalton Webb.
Since March 26th of 2025, how many traffic stops have you assisted other officers that other officers have initiated?
I can't put a number on it or approximate it.
Try as hard as you can. You're under oath.
I can't approximate it.
So
those are logs that you can request through the county dispatch.
Yeah, so it could be zero.
I certainly can't say that, no.
Well, you have no idea. Is that what you're saying?
I can't approximate it for you. I truly don't know that answer.
Okay. So it could be zero.
No, not zero. But I cannot give you a good range.
Okay. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, how many traffic stops have you assisted in?
Have I assisted or been assisted?
Have you assisted? Have you been called when you were off duty because the officer who initiated the traffic stop needed help?
I would say probably 6. I'm a training supervisor now, so I don't see the road as much anymore, but I have people that report to me that have questions that are a lot less experienced than me.
Okay. And you mentioned part of your training was in was in traffic stops, narcotics interdiction, OVI.
Correct.
In your training with OVI, is it your usual procedure, or was it part of your training to focus on the passenger as opposed to the driver of the vehicle?
Can you re-ask your question, please?
When in an OVI stop, based on your training and experience, is it the usual procedure to focus on the passenger in the vehicle as opposed to the driver of the vehicle that's suspected of driving?
For specifically an OVI stop?
Yes.
You're focusing on the operator.
Okay. And how long were you talking to Mr. Ward before you spoke with the tow truck driver at all?
You mean while I was conducting a field interview?
No, I mean exactly what I asked.
What was it? Can you say your question again?
How long were you talking to Mr. Ward before you ever approached the tow truck driver?
Approximately 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay. And you conducted a pat down of Mr. Ward, right?
Correct.
Didn't find anything illegal?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing illegal about having a lighter,
Correct.
especially when you smoke? Okay. And no warrants?
Correct.
And yet you're still questioning him about criminal activity?
I was conducting a field interview.
Yeah, I know. But why are you conducting a field interview when this is supposed to be an OVI stop?
First of all, I was never involved in the OVI stop, okay? I was never involved in the initial traffic stop. I didn't make contact with the operator. I was dealing solely with the passenger.
Okay. And why were you dealing with the passenger when it's a traffic stop, he wasn't driving?
We're within our legal authority to ask any questions to any occupants of the vehicle.
Okay. And would you agree with me that he doesn't have the answer?
Absolutely.
Stop and look at who this officer is. Sergeant Lawrence was the most experienced cop on that scene. So experienced he was called in off duty, just for extra eyes. And here is how he spent those eyes. Not on the tow truck, not on the tires or the expired plate. The only actual violations that night. He spent them digging through the pockets of the one person in that vehicle who wasn't driving anything. He patted Ward down. He questioned him about his probation, his record, and he came up with 2 cigarette lighters and no warrants. Nothing illegal. So here is the question that hangs over this entire case. If this was really a traffic stop about a tow truck straps, why is the senior officer searching the passenger? And why is a drug dog already being called from another town?
I'm referring to you didn't find anything illegal when you questioned him, when you searched him, and when you conducted the warrant search, right? A warrant check.
I didn't conduct a warrant check.
Well, you testified that he didn't have any warrants.
I didn't conduct a warrant check. In response to Officer Webb, when I asked Officer Webb, he testified, or he stated that he
Are
didn't
you
find
aware of any warrants?
warrants for Jonathan Ward at the time of the stop.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. And if there were a warrant, you'd be aware of it, right?
If I ran him personally, yes.
Well, even if you didn't run it personally, if a warrant showed.
I trust that when Officer Webb told me that he ran him and checked him, that he didn't have a warrant.
Okay. Now, the tow truck and the SUV, were they pulled off to the side of the road?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Well, don't guess. You were there, right?
Off to the side of the road, yes, sure.
Okay.
It was on, the vehicle was still on Lakeshore Boulevard, so.
And what do you mean by that?
The vehicle, the tow
Was
truck?
it in the lane or was it off the?
I think we were closer to it. It was approaching a turn lane, so yes, off to the side of the road. It was still on the road, though, of Lakeshore Boulevard.
Okay. And how heavy is the traffic at this time of night on Lakeshore Boulevard?
It's not very, it's light traffic, but that can vary depending on the night, events, local events.
Okay. And this night it was light?
Correct.
Now, you said that Timberlake doesn't have a policy with regard to inventory.
Correct. To my knowledge, there is none.
Okay. And you didn't have consent to search the SUV, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see anything illegal happening with the SUV?
Consent from Jonathan Ward to search the vehicle. We
Right.
did not, correct. He denied us consent.
Right. And was the tow truck driver given a citation for anything?
No, not to my knowledge.
What happened to the tow truck driver?
So from my understanding, Officer Webb conducted standardized field sobriety tests. And then he continued to look into some other indicators that he was observing that could be indicative of a narcotic use. So he conducted advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement tests, such as lack of convergence and modified Romberg. After those tests were conducted, he deemed that the operator was most likely safe to drive. So I think he allowed him to continue on his night. So releasing him with just warnings for the violations that were being committed.
Okay, and he drove away in the tow truck.
Correct.
But the SUV had the inventory. Is that your testimony?
From what I understand, Officer Webb's observations were that the tow truck was improperly towing the vehicle, so it had unsafe equipment violations.
Those weren't cited, right?
Correct. The operator of that tow truck was giving warnings for those violations.
And weren't these field sobriety tests really just a ruse to drag out the time until the K-9 was brought to the scene?
I can't speak for Officer Webb and the way he conducted his OVI investigation.
Well, you're a sergeant?
Now I am.
Okay. You've been an officer for 13 years?
Yes.
You assisted on several stops?
Sure.
Okay. You assist on stops all the time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
What was your perception? Why are we
Of the operator or the stop in a whole?
stop it as a whole as well as the operator?
Okay, again, I didn't make contact with the operator until he was removed to the back of the vehicle to conduct his SFST investigation, his OVI investigation. Okay, so I didn't see the things that Officer Webb was seeing. I know when Officer Webb did have a discussion with me, he said that the operator, when asked to recite certain letters within the alphabet, was completely messing them up. So those were his observations enough to determine that he felt that there was impairment there.
Right, and
Now,
he also
it
mentioned
was,
the K-9, right?
I'm sorry?
And he also mentioned the K-9, if I understood your direct testimony.
He did mention the K-9. I mentioned the K-9 as a possibility to conduct an initial search to bring the K-9 to see if there was probable cause for a search, because the indicators I think that he was observing were narcotic related.
Okay, but none of that had to do with Mr. Ward, right?
No, not at all.
Right. Because you patted him down, no warrants, nothing on him?
Correct.
One moment, Your Honor. Okay, on direct, you mentioned that Mr. Ward was patted down. Is that the usual procedure for someone who's a passenger in a car that's pulled over in a traffic stop?
When displaying the patterns of behavior he was displaying, it is.
Okay. Patterns, when you say patterns of behavior, he didn't have any warrants, he's being cooperative, he's answering your questions. What patterns of behavior are you referring to?
Patterns of behavior is being evasive, not answering questions. We sometimes if there's nothing to hide, you can answer simple questions pertaining to the course of the conversation like I was asking. I was trying to find out additional information about his past and things of that nature. And then also his body position. He kept on leaning back and away from the conversation. He kept looking left and right. I can identify that as somebody attempting to make the proper time, I can recognize that as somebody attempting to see an out and an attempt to run or remove himself from the situation.
But he didn't run.
No, but I can identify those things. Those are common behaviors of somebody willing to run and looking for an out to run.
So you're
from law
saying
enforcement
looking left
contact.
and right, that, in your mind, that was probable cause that there was crime afoot.
Say that again?
If I understand you correctly, you're saying Mr. Ward looking left to right was indicative of criminal behavior.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I patted him down for my safety because his behaviors were not making me feel particularly safe at the time. So I patted him down for my safety.
Okay. And
I could see his pockets bulging as well. His pockets were bulging with the items in it.
right, and didn't find anything illegal.
Correct.
And he could have told you right from the start, go F yourself, I don't want to answer any questions, right?
Absolutely.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Next witness.
State Post Officer Dalton Webb.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir. All right, have a seat.
Please state your name for the record, spelling your last name.
Vincent Cangelosi, Cangelosi.
Where do you work?
Village of Newburgh Heights,
And in what capacity?
as a police officer.
Prior to working for the Village of Newburgh Heights, have you worked for other police departments?
Yes, ma'am.
And what other police departments have you worked for?
Northfield Village, Village of Timberlake, Village of Grand River, Cleveland Heights, and as well Newburgh Heights.
When did you work for the Village of Timberlake?
I worked there back in March.
March of 2025.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long did you work for the Village of Timberlake?
About a week and a half.
And did that week encompass March 26, 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a certified peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you attend a police academy?
Yes, ma'am.
Which police academy did you attend?
The University of Akron Summit County Sheriff's Police Academy.
And when did you graduate from that police academy?
January 1st of 2016.
And since graduating from the police academy, have you attended continuing training courses?
Yes, ma'am. They're called CPTs through EOPATA and in-class training sessions.
And how often do you attend training sessions?
Every year you have to have an acquired of 40 hours.
What are some topics that you have learned about in these education training sessions?
Drug interdictions, arrest, search, and seizure.
Now I'm going to direct your attention to March 26, 2025. Were you working for Timberlake on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you still in training?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was training you?
Officer Webb.
Were you in a car with Officer Webb?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time was your shift that day?
Pardon me?
What time were you working that day?
I was working second shift, so 3 to 11.
And during your shift with Officer Webb, did there come a time when you noticed something suspicious?
Yes, around 8:53 p.m.
And what did you notice that was suspicious?
Uh,
Was the stop at 8:53 p.m. or you observed something suspicious happen at 8:53 p.m.?
The stop was at 8:53 p.m.
So prior to the stop, prior to conducting a traffic stop, did you observe something suspicious during your shift?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you observe?
A gentleman driving a car. We were doing regular patrol in the parking lot. He saw a police car and he immediately whipped it into a parking spot. As he whipped it into a parking spot, he ended up getting out and walking relatively fast into a gambling store. I don't know exactly what it's called, but some type of online gambling place.
If you saw a map of this area where you observed that activity, would you recognize it in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
And point out first where you and Officer Webb were positioned.
So Officer Webb and I were positioned right over here.
And you are in the East Lake Plaza parking lot?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you observe?
We observed the car coming off of Lakeshore Boulevard, pulled in, and as we were pulling out this way, he whipped in this way and immediately parked in right here.
Across from where you had just been positioned?
Yes,
And what about this was suspicious to you?
The minute he saw us, he immediately, like I said, whipped into a parking lot relatively fast, faster than he normally would when you're parking a vehicle. And as soon as he parked the vehicle, he got out and he walked relatively fast into the online gambling site. And as he was walking, he was constantly looking back over his shoulder.
Did he return to his vehicle?
Multiple times.
What do you mean multiple times?
So as he pulled in, we figured maybe he was just going in for a minute or two. So we pulled out and we waited over here. As we waited over here, we had eyes on the vehicle and the suspect as he entered the online gambling site a plethora of times in and out, going back to his car and then back into the gambling site.
And based on your training and your experience, why is it suspicious that he would go from the gambling site to his car to the gambling site to his car?
For me, with my experience and education, that just shows that there's either drugs in the car, or he doesn't have a
Objection.
driver's license in the car, or he shouldn't be driving the car in general.
Thank you.
Good morning, officer. You indicated on direct that you worked at Timberlake for a week and a half,
Yes, sir.
and that Officer Dalton was your training officer,
Yes, sir.
and he was showing you what to do.
Correct.
And was it your perception that he was familiar with the procedures in Timberlake?
Yes, sir.
Had he ever conducted a traffic stop other than this one?
Yes, sir.
Had he ever conducted a traffic stop without calling for backup?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many times in the 10 days you worked there, or week and a half that you worked there?
About 4 or 5.
Okay. And how many, other than this stop, how many times did you call for backup on a traffic stop?
When I was there, just that one time.
Just the one time? Okay. And if you had questions, you looked to Officer Webb for advice?
Correct.
Now, you indicated that you found that what you thought was suspicious was, your word, the driver of the Captiva whipped it into a parking space.
Yes.
That was suspicious.
Yes.
You didn't arrest him.
Nope.
You didn't approach him.
No, sir.
Didn't go closer.
No, sir.
Didn't take any video footage of that,
No, sir.
right? Just sat there.
Yes, sir.
And then you said he was coming back and forth from the gambling establishment to the car.
Yes, sir.
No video of that either.
No, sir.
And you don't know what he was doing in the car, right?
No, sir.
And you didn't take video of it.
No, sir.
Now, you're guessing that that's indicative of drug use, but
Yes,
that's
sir.
only a guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No evidence of that at all.
Other than the bong in the past in the
You
center
weren't
council,
aware of
yes.
the bong at that time.
Correct.
So when you're observing from across the street, after he whipped in, which you thought was suspicious, you're seeing him come in and out, which again, indicative of drug use, but you don't know that. That was a guess.
Yes.
Now, how many, you said you were involved in 4 or 5 traffic stops in Timberlake?
Yes.
How many traffic stops have you been involved in roughly as an officer?
Well over 100.
Okay. And in your well over 100 stops, how often do you focus on the passenger in a traffic stop as opposed to the driver?
Only when they don't have a seatbelt on, and by the state of Ohio, you're allowed to identify that passenger without a seatbelt on.
Okay. But how often has the focus been on a passenger rather than the driver on a traffic stop, in your experience?
Quite a few times.
Based on what?
Based on if they're driving a car that's perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden they get it on a tow truck to get it out of a parking lot.
And that's happened to you before?
Yes.
How many times?
About 4 or 5.
Okay. Anything illegal about calling a tow truck?
No.
And if someone has a suspended license, wouldn't the best choice be to have the truck towed?
No.
They shouldn't have it towed.
No.
They should drive with a suspended
They
license.
should drive, get cited for their traffic violation, and then have the officer with his discretion either let them drive the car away or not.
So just to be clear, your testimony is you should break the law.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been a police officer?
Since 2016.
And you were at the Akron Summit Sheriff's Police Academy?
University of Akron, Summit County Sheriff's Office,
I'm sorry,
Police Academy.
University of Akron. And was that one of the policies that you learned there? That
Discretion,
you break
yes.
the law?
Discretion, yes.
I didn't say discretion, but to advise people to break the law.
No.
Is that something that Officer Webb imparted on you?
No, sir.
Is that something you're just making up today?
No, sir.
Now, you indicated that the tow truck driver no longer wanted to deal with a Captiva. Is Is that your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair to say it was clear to him that there were several officers there, all of whom were much more interested in the Captiva than his tow truck?
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say your perception is he was ready to get out of there?
Yes, sir.
So when you're saying it's voluntary, that's a little bit tortured, right?
Explain.
He wanted to leave.
The tow truck driver?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to leave because he had been put under the pressure of DRE.
Okay. And he wasn't cited with anything, was he?
No, sir.
Now you said you made some observations inside the vehicle in plain view. Where were you located when those observations were made?
On the passenger side of the vehicle, as it was on the roadway.
On the roadway?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't in plain view when it was on the tow truck?
No.
And there is the whole trick, exposed in one word. The bong they claimed to see in plain view only became visible after the car came down to the ground. And the car only came down because the officers leaned on the tow driver until he asked to take it off his truck. Plain view is a real legal rule, but it only counts if the officer is standing somewhere he is lawfully allowed to be. If that car came down as the direct product of a stop that had already been illegally stretched 33 minutes, on a fake sobriety test with a dog that hadn't even arrived yet, then everything that came down with it is poisoned. There is a Supreme Court case for exactly this. In Rodriguez v. United States, the court ruled that police cannot extend a traffic stop, even by a few minutes, just to wait for a drug dog. These officers stretched it 33 minutes.
In the parking lot that you pointed out, is that parking lot located in Eastlake or Timberlake?
Eastlake.
Okay. And do you have jurisdictional limitations as far as going into Eastlake for something like this?
No, sir.
What was the traffic like on Lakeshore Boulevard this night?
Prior to the stop or after the stop?
During the stop?
During the stop, it was light traffic.
And where was the tow truck and the bed of the tow truck located in terms of, was it on the road or on the side of the road?
Before the traffic stop or during the traffic stop? During the traffic stop, it was on the right-hand side of the road.
Okay. And are you aware of Timberlake's inventory procedures?
Yes.
And what are those?
Inventory of a vehicle either gets towed or they let it sit on the side of the road until the valid driver comes and picks it up.
Okay. And in this situation, there was a decision made to tow it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But, and again, just to be clear, but your understanding is that Timberlake does have a policy?
Yes, sir.
One moment, Your Honor. All right. Any other valid drivers at the scene that you're aware of?
I believe just the tow truck driver and his wife or girlfriend, whatever I don't know who it was.
Mr. Ward's?
Yeah, I had it mixed up. He would say his wife and his girlfriend, and apparently he's got two of them.
It's just a significant other?
Yeah.
Okay. And she had a valid license?
Yes, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Next witness?
Which police academy did you attend?
Lorraine County Community College Police Academy,
And when did you graduate from that police academy?
2017, I believe.
And since graduating from that police academy, have you attended continuing education courses?
Yes.
And what are some topics that have been covered in these courses?
Drug interdiction, OVI enforcement, advanced roadside impairment, court testifying, report writing.
Are you a certified peace officer in the state of Ohio?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to direct your attention to March 26, 2025. Were you working for the Timberlake Police Department on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what time of day you were working?
From that, I was afternoon shift, so it was 3 to 11.
And on that day, were you tasked with training a new officer?
Yes.
Which officer is that?
Officer Cangelucci.
So a car with Officer Cangelosi on that day?
Yes.
During your shift that day, were you and Officer Cangelosi in the parking lot of the East Lake Plaza?
Yes.
And while you were in that parking lot, did you observe anything you believe to be suspicious?
Yes.
And around what time would you say that was?
I do not know what time approximately that was.
Is there something that would help refresh your memory?
Yeah, if I could see my report.
You've indicated that you don't remember what time. Well, specifically, what did you observe that was suspicious?
So it wasn't in the East Lake Plaza parking lot. It was on Lakeshore Boulevard. And then he pulled into East Lake Plaza parking lot, parked his car, got out of it, and we couldn't find him.
When you say he, what are you referring to, an individual you saw at this time, or are you referring to the vehicle?
I'm referring to the vehicle and the individual driving the vehicle.
Officer, you indicated that when you first saw the Captiva, what stood out was it had heavy tint. You
Yes.
recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And the tint was so heavy, you were contemplating issuing a citation.
It was going to be a traffic stop if I could have found and stopped the vehicle.
Okay. And you lost track of the vehicle at that point?
Yes, until we circled the parking lot multiple times, but by then, Mr. Ward was out of the vehicle.
Okay. But so you didn't see him park initially?
No, but I did see him operating the vehicle.
All right. Let's answer the question I asked. You didn't see him park the vehicle. That's the question. Yes or no?
Correct.
And you saw him operating the vehicle, but you didn't issue a citation at that point?
Because we cannot locate him.
Right. And if someone is under suspension, you wouldn't advise them to drive while they were under suspension, would you?
No.
Now, you indicated that the seat was tilted back.
Yes.
You recall that testimony?
Yes.
And was the seat tilted back when you first saw the Captiva on Lakeshore?
Yes.
How were you able to tell that, given the heavy tint?
Through the front windshield.
Through the front windshield, you could
Yes.
tell it was, okay. As he's passing by?
As I'm looking directly into the car before he makes the left-hand turn into the plaza.
Okay. And when you made the left-hand turn, then you lost track?
Yes.
And who else was in your cruiser?
Officer Cangelosi.
Okay, and he was in the passenger side?
Yes, sir.
Now, you indicated that the Captiva was registered to someone was registered to a Sandusky business. Do you recall that?
Yeah, well, Port Clinton now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing illegal about that, right?
No.
Okay. It had a legal registration.
Yes.
And you verified that Mr. Ward had no warrants,
Correct.
didn't have anything illegal on him.
Correct.
You didn't see him doing anything illegal.
Besides operating a motor vehicle under suspension.
Hold on, let me finish. When he's walking back and forth, you didn't see him doing anything illegal when he's walking from the gambling establishment back to the Captiva.
Not that I know of. He could be.
But not that you know of.
Correct.
And you indicated that you got the K-9 involved because of the tow truck driver's behavior.
Yes.
And at one point in the footage, you indicated that he was going to get the tow truck driver was going to be cited for OVI, and that the tow truck as well as the Captiva were going to be towed. Do you recall that?
Yes.
That didn't happen, did it?
No.
And were there any other valid drivers that came to the scene during the pendency of this stop?
Yes. I believe it was his girlfriend or wife, Officer Lawrence, at that time, handled that situation with her.
Okay. And how heavy was the traffic on Lake Shore during the pendency of this stop?
Pretty moderate.
Pardon?
Moderate.
Okay. And where was the tow truck and the Captiva, on the side of the road or in the road?
on the side and in the road, because there is a ditch line there.
Now, you said, the report I have, I believe there were drugs in the car. You recall that?
Yeah,
Okay. But and that's based on him walking back and forth from the gambling establishment to the car?
just the behavior. It's all,
You could just tell, right?
well, with criminal behavior, with it, seat being leaned back, heavy tinted windows.
Yeah, but you could just tell, right?
Yeah, with my experience, with all those indicators,
Okay. And the indicators are the tinted windows?
tinted windows, vehicle being registered to a business, seat being
But there's
tilted
nothing
back.
illegal about that, is there?
With the windows, yes.
Well, you didn't cite him for that, did you?
No,
And did you ever measure the windows?
we did not at that
So
time.
you don't really know what the tint is,
Correct.
all right? And you're judging the tint at night.
Well, also during the day when I seen Mr. Ward.
Okay, but that wasn't at this stop, right?
It was prior to that stop when he was operating the vehicle.
Okay. But you didn't stop him then?
I wasn't able to locate him, he wasn't in the vehicle.
Okay. And you didn't see him park the vehicle?
No.
Now, if I understood you correctly, the K-9 alerted to the tow truck.
Yes,
You would agree that there's no connection between Mr. Ward and the tow truck? He was merely a passenger?
his vehicle was attached to a tow truck, which makes it one whole vessel.
Okay. And the K-9 alerted to the tow truck?
Yes, right below the driver's side door.
And Mr. Ward wasn't driving the tow truck?
No,
You never saw him on the driver's side?
correct.
There's no real connection to where the dog alerted and Mr. Ward. I guess that's the larger point.
Yes, where the driver's side door of the vehicle is right above where the dog alerted.
Right.
So there's the connection. The vehicle that was on the tow truck was Mr. Ward's at the time when he was operating it.
But the dog alerted to a toolbox that was on the truck.
That was directly below the vehicle.
So you're saying it didn't alert on the box. That's your testimony?
It alerted on the...
Yes or no?
It alerted on
Yes or
the
no?
tow truck.
Yes or no? Alerted on the box or it didn't?
It did.
The drug dog was the whole case. It was the entire reason they ever got inside that car. And listen to what the officer just admitted under oath. The dog never sniffed Ward's car. Not once. It couldn't. The car was chained to a flatbed 6 feet off the ground, and a drug dog needs a seam near the ground to work. So the dog circled the tow truck and alerted on a toolbox on the driver's side, a truck Ward never drove and was never even near. They opened the toolbox. It was empty. That is the probable cause that justified tearing his car apart. The prosecution's best answer was that the car was getting towed and searched anyway. Reasonable, except the officers couldn't even agree on whether their own department had an inventory policy. And there was a licensed driver standing right there who could have driven the car home. The judge heard every word of it, and he had watched the body camera.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is asking this court to deny the defendant's motion to suppress. Significantly, once a new reasonable suspicion develops, detainment may continue for as long as it takes to confirm or dispel it. The testimony today provided that during this stop, the Timberlake police officers continued to learn new information that gave them reasonable suspicion that criminal activity was underfoot. Specifically, Officers Webb and Cangelosi testified to when they first observed the defendant Chevrolet Captiva that it entered the East Lake Plaza, went into a spot where they had difficulties identifying the driver due to the window tints, and that the defendant did in fact lean his seat back. They confirmed that it was suspicious activity, that the defendant exited his vehicle, went to the gaming store, went back to his vehicle, and back to the gaming store. Additionally, their testimony provided that the defendant called for a tow truck. They had just seen the defendant operating that vehicle. They knew that the vehicle works, did not observe any issues with the operation of that vehicle, and it did not make sense to them that a tow truck would be requested. Additionally, upon searching the registration, it was registered in another city over 100 miles away. Officer Dalton Webb confirmed that upon talking with the tow truck driver, he observed signs of possible drug or alcohol impairment. That is a reason to further investigate. That is something that puts everyone on the road at risk, and that is why he made the decision to conduct the field sobriety tests and to, at that point, call for a K-9. Officers were able to conduct those field sobriety tests, and when the K-9 arrived in a reasonable time period, it did alert on the tow truck. In this case, the tow truck was stopped at 8:45 p.m. We see the body cam footage starting at 9:05 p.m. The first discussion of calling a K-9 is at 9:02 p.m. and then at 9:18 p.m. we hear in the body cam that Willoughby is on scene. So while it may have taken a little bit longer for the K-9 to come, had a K-9 been available sooner, officers were working diligently in order to have that K-9 brought to the scene. Additionally, the driver of the tow truck did relay to officers that he no longer felt comfortable having the defendant's vehicle on his truck and asked for it to be let down. Once it was let down, officers observed in plain view a pipe depicted in State's Exhibit 3 that they believed to be for substances other than marijuana. That taken in addition to the fact that during a search of the defendant's person, torches were located on his person. Officers had cause to search the car. Regardless, the car would have been towed, and an inventory search could have been performed. Additionally, the defendant was driving without a valid license. At this point, the Timberlake Police Department had enough to tow the car and to conduct an inventory search of the vehicle, and the state is asking that you deny the defendant's motion to suppress.
Mr. Fatiga?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to highlight the fact that, particularly with Officer Webb, you know, he tried to disguise it. At the end of the day, they just had a hunch that there were drugs in the car. They didn't see, other than the driving under suspension, which the one officer indicated he would advise someone to do. They didn't see Mr. Ward do anything illegal. They patted him down. He didn't have anything illegal on him. They made the fact that he had a lighter on him or two lighters seem sinister. Again, nothing illegal. It's registered out of town, which is not illegal. They had another driver at the scene who could have driven the Captiva away. There is no, one of the officers indicated that there was no inventory policy in Timberlake. The other two indicated that there was, but I tried to ask all of them, look, what was the traffic? Was the vehicle out of the way? Was there a reason that this car had to be impounded? And I would respectfully suggest that there wasn't. For an OVI stop, they spent a lot of time talking to Mr. Ward, who I would suggest you could see in State's Exhibit 2 was cooperative, was trying to answer their questions. As to the in plain view, the item in question was only in plain view once they had the Captiva lowered to the ground. It wasn't in plain view initially. I'd ask you to consider that. And again, they're trying to, I think when you're contemplating credibility, one officer stressed that his suspicion was based on observing the car whip into a parking space. The other officer, who was sitting a couple feet away from him in the same cruiser, indicated that his suspicion was based on the window tint, which we don't know anything more about, but his testimony was they didn't see the car pull into a space, they lost track of it. It's difficult to perceive that both of those are true. And again, when Mr. Ward was driving the car, they didn't pull him over. And I know you heard the evidence, but he's a passenger in a tow truck that he has no control over. So we would ask you to suppress the evidence. I respectfully suggest that this type of pursuit of a hunch is exactly what the Fourth Amendment is designed to prevent.
All right, there's, based on the testimony, Officer Dalton Webb sees the vehicle coming westbound on Lakeshore, observes, I believe, that it was Mr. Ward. He knows Mr. Ward, seen him drive before, knows he's under suspension. Mr. Ward then drives in with, I'm to assume from that testimony, I take from that testimony that the sides are tinted, the front window is not tinted, because he sees Mr. Ward. Mr. Ward pulls in the parking lot, and in the words of Officer Cangelosi, whips into a parking space and points out exactly where on the map he went into that parking space. So Cangelosi in the car with Dalton Webb knows where Ward is. The cruiser then goes through the parking lot, goes out of the parking lot across the street on Lakeshore, observes Mr. Ward go, in Officer Cangelosi's testimony, multiple times back and forth from the car to the gambling establishment, back to the car, back to the establishment, back to the car. Tow truck arrives, and from the testimony that I see, and to back up a little bit, Officer Cangelosi describes the significance of Mr. Ward going back and forth as it being indicative of drugs, that there were drugs in the car. That was Officer Cangelosi's suspicion. So the suspicion of Officer Dalton Webb is different from the suspicion of Officer Cangelosi as to what was or was not, what may or may not have been contained in Mr. Ward's vehicle. From the testimony, I gathered then that a tow truck appeared, that the car was loaded up, and then began obviously to exit the parking lot because there was a stop on Lakeshore Boulevard, and the reason for the stop given was the lack of a 4-point tie on the tires and the partially blocked registration tag, which turned out to be expired as of January, so 2 months expired. The body cam of Sergeant Lawrence indicates a discussion with Officer Dalton Webb in which they discussed the potential of bringing a dog in. The assumption was it was the Eastlake dog right next door. And Officer Dalton Webb indicated that he was going to light him up for an OVI, meaning the tow truck driver. And it's hard to miss the smile/smirk on the face of Officer Dalton Webb as he said that in view of the body cam. So it's clear to me that the evidence suggests that they were going to pursue the potential OVI in order to get the dog there and to delay the release of that vehicle and or towing of that vehicle for the violations until the dog got there. So the dog gets there some upwards of 20, 30 minutes later, I think 8:45 to 9:18, 33 minutes later, and Willoughby officer indicates that that the dog cannot sniff the Captiva because it's up on the tow. And so the dog takes a run around the tow truck, indicates at or near the toolbox on the driver's side. And the Willoughby officer clearly indicated that there's going to be no ability to sniff that Captiva on that tow because it needs to hit a seam. And and the scene was obviously well off the ground. So there was some sort of hit on the toolbox, which according to Officer Dalton Webb, the search occurred and nothing was found in the tow truck. So I believe that there was an extreme amount of pressure exerted on the tow driver to get that car off that tow truck. And once it was down, then we have the testimony about the plain view of the marijuana or other bong, whatever you wanted that bong to be. So I don't believe that there is a valid reason for the search of that vehicle. Certainly, there was a delay in getting the dog there, which indicated a sniff, but there was no sniff of that Captiva. So I'm going to grant the defendant's motion. Anything further, Ms. Gold?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatika?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
The judge did not take long. He went through it piece by piece. He pointed out that the two officers, who swore they had the same suspicion, couldn't even agree on what caused it. One said the car whipped into a parking space. The other said it was the window tint, and they were sitting in the same cruiser, feet apart. He pointed to the body camera, to the smirk on Officer Webb's face when he said he was going to light up the tow driver for a sobriety test. And he called it what it was, a stall to buy time for the dog. He found the officers had put extreme pressure on the tow driver to get that car onto the ground. And then he landed on the one fact that ended it. The dog never sniffed Ward's car at all. There was, he said, no valid reason for the search. The loaded gun, the methamphetamine, the hidden compartment, all of it, gone. Not because it wasn't real, because of how they went and got it. And here is the part nobody likes to say out loud. After a ruling like this, the state is usually left with nothing, and the case quietly disappears. But the Fourth Amendment was never written to protect the guilty. It was written because the only way to stop police from doing this to an innocent person tomorrow is to make sure it doesn't work when they do it today. These officers had a hunch. They may well have been right, and it did not matter, because the judge watched them build a case on a smirk, a stall, and a dog that hit an empty box. And he did the one thing the Constitution required of him. He said no.